Look, I like celebrations as much as the next guy. Okay, maybe not that much, but I like them quite a lot. Eating good food, partying with your friends, spending time with family. Like, who doesn't like to have a nice time? But amidst the good vibes and good intentions, sometimes we kind of forget why we're celebrating, and we end up celebrating things that, should we even be celebrating in the first place? This video was actually inspired because I am currently living in the Netherlands outside of this fictional world I made for myself, and people are currently celebrating Koningsdag, or the Day of the King, which is what you might expect. They're celebrating their king. And to me that always felt slightly weird because you have to eat disgusting tempus. But this is one holiday that sparks controversy almost every year, and I was wondering, are there any others? And like, yes, there's a lot of celebrations across the world that are quite problematic, and I'm sure my American viewers already know a bit about this topic because you guys have Thanksgiving, which is supposed to be this beautiful commemoration of the time where Native Americans with colonizers were together sharing a meal in warmth and enjoyed themselves, and in reality it was more like the pilgrims celebrating the fact that they had been doing not so good things to the Native Americans. And I'm not American, I haven't had the experience of celebrating every single year this holiday, so I'm not really attached, and from the outside that just looks like bollocks. Like, yes, the idea of giving thanks and gathering with the ones you love is beautiful, and also no, like, why should you celebrate it in that day? That seems to be like an arbitrary day already, but why don't you change it for something really American that's an instance where you should be giving thanks, and where it showed this American unity that you guys like so much. But Thanksgiving is hardly the only celebration that has had any backlash over the years, as times have gotten more aware of the atrocities that we're celebrating. And this is where I can talk a little bit about my personal history with celebrations, and is that in the other side of the continent, in South America, and well, Latin America in general, we have what is known as Race Day. I kid you not, that's the name. There's several different versions of the name. Like, recently it's changed its name because, well, Race Day. Because for those of you who are unaware of what Race Day is, it's basically the day to commemorate the discovery of Latin America, which, as you might know, is a very cancelled thing on its own, because it wasn't much of a discovery. The Americas were already there, and people just came and colonized and did these horrible things. And now it's the day of race, the day where we commemorate that Spanish people came and civilized us. Like, I kid you not, that's the history behind it. Today in Spain, because they're aware that this might come off as something quite horrible, it is known as Hispanity Day, or yeah, Day of Hispanity. Which why did you pick that day? Like, honestly, like, I'm aware that European nations sometimes have this weird pride over the horrible things they've done in the colonies, but it's still very weird. Now, Latin American countries have combated this by changing the name to something different. I'm from Chile, and sometimes it's known as like the encounter between two worlds, which, sure, but not quite, eh? So you might be wondering, okay, but why do you keep having that then? Like, if it's so bad and there's a lot of backlash every year, why do you still have it? And I think it's slightly more complex than saying just like, let's get rid of it. What I think is particularly interesting for this celebration for the Latin American case is that whether we want it or not, we are children of colonialism. Spanish culture is within our culture. And I do think what we've done with the language is worth celebrating. I'm not the only one saying this. Gabriela Mistral, Nobel Prize winner, actually was saying this like a lot of years ago, because we've done something beautiful with the language, and it's still a big part of who we are. And we're all, like, if you ask someone from Latin America, they're gonna be really, really proud of their Spanish, because it's very different, it's very us. And it's also a mix now of all these indigenous words from the original peoples from this continent. That's something that I believe is worth celebrating, but maybe not on the day where it was imposed on us, you know, maybe in another day where things actually kind of worked out or something. And if we're celebrating our Spanish heritage, we should also be celebrating our indigenous heritage. In some countries, this is now being told from the perspective of the indigenous communities from the Americas, where it is known as the Indigenous Resistance Day. And I think that's just make more sense. At the end, we're a mix of what happened. And as for Spain, they celebrated on their Hispanity Day. It's kind of weird, right? Like, come on, guys, just pick another day. I'm sure, like, just pick the day where, like, Spain won the World Cup or something, you know, like, you have a few of those. And that is quite related to where I want to go, which is with the case in the Netherlands, another country with a history of colonialism and things that until this day, well, are within the celebrations of the country, like Sinterklaas, which in itself is not a horrible thing. It's just the Dutch version of Christmas. Although they also have Christmas, it's like a second Christmas, but the one they actually celebrate. And like, it's all good, you know, the Sinterklaas looks interesting. He's supposed to be living in Madrid for some reason instead of the North Pole, which I find always quite amusing. But his helpers are are quite interesting. And you might have seen this from, because I think every year it gets a lot of media coverage because it's quite bizarre, but it still happens. People still make their kids do blackface, and they just are unaware that that might be a bad thing. Because the argument is that that's actually cool, right? Because they go in the chimneys. Right, guys? I think this is one of those cases where a lot of people say like, oh, but you don't understand because you're not Dutch and stuff. But honestly, like Zwarte Piet being racist is like a big thing in the Netherlands. You see the stickers everywhere because people are aware that this is just problematic. So like, I think it's about time. People know this. Like, it's, well, thankfully it's a tradition that is dying. Like, you're not seeing it that much in the big cities, and most likely you're not gonna keep seeing it in the future anywhere. But Koningsdag most likely will still be here. And as I said, it is a holiday that sparks controversy because of the monarchy in itself. Like, should we actually be spending every year that much money in some random guy that we just decided was like cool because he was born? And a lot of people see the purpose of the king because they do international relations and they bring a lot of money because of it. I guess I don't know what this thinks, but I can definitely see the argument of maybe we shouldn't all be subjects of just one entity. It's kind of bizarre. And why are we spending so much money celebrating him? Especially when the celebrations are being held in like the poorest parts of the country, and that money could actually do some good there. But if you've actually gone to Amsterdam where Dutch people are celebrating Koningsdag, you're gonna see the most happy people on earth, probably doing the most dumb shit of all time, garbage everywhere, but people are really enjoying their time. And all countries have this, right? A day where they go crazy and they celebrate the fact that they're them, and they celebrate as a country. It's just maybe pick a different date. I guess I'm repeating myself here. But I actually think it's important that we have these discussions. Like, why are we celebrating? Well, we celebrate. And can we improve things? Even if it might be slightly annoying. And the spending argument, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense. But on the other hand, you can really make that argument of all celebrations, right? New Year's, Christmas, Halloween. These are all holidays that people and states and corporations spend a lot of money that could be spent elsewhere, but we still do it. Why do we do it? I myself, I'm in favor of being slightly less over the top with everything that we do when we celebrate. But it is clearly a part of every culture to celebrate, to have a good time with the people. And I think it's important that we actually analyze what we do, that we just don't celebrate because everyone else is celebrating, and we put some thought into it. Maybe joining the party is also fun at times, even when you don't agree with it. Like, maybe I should eat tompus.